Hello everybody, welcome to my Nocturne special presentation here. I've got a number of my night scenes, nocturnes here to show you, and I'm doing the finishing touches on this one here right now. It's a view of the Seneca Lake near Burdett, New York, and it depicts it, as you can see, in winter. And you can come in a little closer here. What I was just doing was adding some of the atmospherics, the sfumato, which is the bluish haze of atmosphere that happens, and as it gets closer to you, it gets darker, and the lake is going away from us up north there, so there's a little more atmosphere. But painting nocturnes with atmospheric, because a little bit later everything would be much darker, but this um, view, this motif, is meant to be about 10 minutes after sunset on a winter evening, with the light just catching the upper parts of the clouds. So it's that transition point. If you look down here at my palette, I'm going to do I'm going to lighten up the sky and warm it a little bit. And so the color that I use is I put some white in here, and a little bit of Naples yellow, and a little bit of cerulean blue. And so now you can come over here to this side if you would. So what I'm endeavoring to do is lighten and warm to have some of the glow of the sun. And I've done several layers here, and the application that I'm using is called scumbling. It's a kind of a dry brush. And the important thing is I want to get the value right. It wants to be a little bit darker than the lighter part of the clouds, but light enough here. Let's test it out. That's pretty much what I want here. And so it's kind of a low chroma color. In other words, not too intense, but warm and light. And I'm just dragging it on here. And what happens oftentimes, especially at sunset, it gets light and then it gradually gets darker as it goes up. You can see I have some other warm tones in here too, more slightly darker value and slightly orangier. And so the scumbling technique allows the underlayers to come through somewhat. And it's, in a way, it's sort of like pastel. People sometimes say my paintings look like a pastel, because I work in pastel, or used to a lot, and kind of apply the paint in a similar way. So that's pretty much what I wanted to do, just a final little bit of warmth here and lighter tone here. And I used it down here too to get this the sky coming through. I wanted to explain about the clouds too. They're partly based on observation, partly based on a photograph that I was using, and partly on invention. And all of this part was invented. This was used somewhat from a photograph. But the interesting thing about it is this depth that's happening here. In other words, there's one layer of clouds here, one layer of clouds, these kind of diagonal horizontal ones, and then these are actually going back in space too. So the clouds augment and supplement the conception of space. And we have the perspective of the post of the vineyard here. There's a one kind of perspective going this way, but here we have a one point perspective going that way. So there's vineyard posts often make those kind of items. And one of the things that appealed to me was the twinkling lights right at twilight. And so that's this latest one. It's a 36 by 40, and it's on linen that's glued to a piece of masonite. And I have several other nocturnes that I'm going to show you. can you see this one here? This is a nocturne that I did in Amsterdam. I think it was about 2 years ago. I did it on a cold January night, and I was sitting under a street light, so I could see what I was doing. But I also had a light on my easel. But it was a quintessential nocturne in Amsterdam. And after I came back, I saw that a lot of photographers had done that. In fact, I think we did have a calendar that had this same bridge on it. I didn't know that it was such an icon, but it was a great spot. There was very little traffic there. And the one above it is a print. It's in fact, I have a in-depth video on my YouTube channel where I'm working on that one. It's of the Susquehanna River near Wailusing. And if you look at this one here, this is another Amsterdam nocturne, and also done plein air, and also under a street light. And it was a very busy place, a lot of tourists walking past, but it was a great motif with, I think it's St. Nicholas's, this church in the background. And so if you back up a little bit, I'll show you a couple other ones. This is done from a photograph. It's a house that I painted a number of times at Sheldrake Point, New York, and done in the autumn, obviously, as you can see there with the sunflowers. And this one here is a nocturne of Philadelphia, or a suburb of Philadelphia, Manayunk, Pennsylvania. And I did a study during the day there, and then this one was done from photographs in the evening. And I'll take the phone here, and what I'm showing you here now is a plein air study done during the a snowstorm in the evening. So it constitutes a nocturne as it's close to evening. In fact, some plein air competitions, they allow sunsets and anything toward the evening to be considered a nocturne. But it was the study for the larger one behind it. And both of these are of the Susquehanna River at French Asylum. This one that you're looking at here now is also at 36 by 40. And part of the thing that appealed to me was inventing the light. The sky and the moon and the arrangement of the clouds were all invented. And then also the subsequent light direction. Like you can see the cast shadows on the frozen Susquehanna River there. And once again, the twinkling lights in the evening. And this one here is a nocturne done partially from photograph, and then I went back and did studies right on location in Stonington, Maine. Whoops! It's a large oil on linen, and done there at this wonderful restaurant in Stonington. So these are my nocturnes. So I hope you enjoyed this and my demonstration here. So I'm sharing with you some of my ideas. One thing I didn't mention, that this painting here that you're looking at, it was done, I had a deep minty green underpainting or a undertone to the whole canvas, whereas this one over here had a very dull kind of a terracotta undertone. So there's two different approaches. This one was a little more challenging, and you might be able to tell it's kind of like a bluish green, and it was rather intense high chroma undertone. So it was kind of the opposite, this being high intensity undertone and the other one being low chroma. Okay, I think that's about all I wanted to cover here in this demonstration and the sharing of my nocturnes. And look for them on my website, briankeeler.com, and on our gallery's website, northstarartgallery.com. And if you're in Ithaca, New York, stop here to our gallery. And I wanted to mention that this one over here is being done for an upcoming show at the West End Gallery, where I have a whole group of paintings of Seneca and Cayuga Lake, and it opens in May of 2025. So stop over there to the West End Gallery. Okay, cheers. Thank you so much.